Welcome to Lecture 5 Part 2. In this, we will do a lot more examples of what we learned in class today, that is solving equations. And as you have seen, there are many types of equations to solve, and each of those types have different methods of solution. So the first one we'll be doing is rational equations, and the steps for rational equations is first multiply by the LCD. So you need to find the LCD and then distribute and then solve. And then once you solve, you need to um, uh, also check your answers. So let's say one of those steps would be check the domain. Okay, and when you multiply by the LCD, you can either multiply the whole equation or you can multiply each term. And I would always recommend multiplying each term because it's easier and shorter. Okay, so let's first try to find the LCD here. Let's factor. Now I'm using the difference of two squares formula here, so I can factor x squared minus 4 as x minus 2x plus 2. Now you've seen that enough for me to just write it down. Okay, so x minus 2, x plus 2, 2x. And then here you have 4 over x minus 2, x plus 2. And then you have minus 3 over x plus 2. So just rewriting after factoring. Okay, now let's quickly decide what the LCD of the equation here. So you look at the whole, all three denominators, and you can see the LCD is just take all the factors, that would be x plus 2, x minus 2. And the powers you see are just 1 and 1, so the LCD here is x plus 2, x minus 2. Now what you do is, you just multiply the whole equation or multiply each term by the least common denominator. So I will just multiply each term. So here you get x minus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 2, and x minus 2, x plus 2. See, it's the same thing. Okay, now you can see how things will cancel off. Right now you can see that this goes off, this goes off, this goes off, this goes off, and this goes off. You should have checked the domain, so it's not that hard to find. You look at the least common denominator, x cannot, this factor cannot be 0, so x plus 2 cannot be 0, so that would mean x cannot be negative 2, and x minus 2 cannot be 0, that would mean x cannot be 2. So if you get these two as the answers, these are extremes. Okay, so let's write down what's remaining after our cancellation process. That would be 2x on this side, 4 minus 3 times x minus 2. Now you can distribute this negative 3 here, so you get 4 minus 3x plus 6, and here you get 2x. So add 3x to both sides, you get 5x equals 10, or x equals 2. Now unfortunately, x equals 2 is not in the domain, so we have a domain question here. So the solution is not in the domain. So we just got only one possible solution, but that is not in the domain. So there is no solution for this equation. So we can say solution is the empty set. Okay, that's disappointing, right? Just solve it and you just say, well, there's no solutions. Alright, let's see the other problem. See whether we have a solution for that. Okay, so let's first start by trying to factor this. Okay, and what you can see here is x is a common factor, so I would take out that. Okay, and then I will write this. Well, on a side, I'll just show you the simplification that I will use. So you have 1 over 4 minus x. Okay, and that is the same as 1 over negative 1 times x minus 4. Why? Because when you distribute it, you get negative x and you get plus 4, so 4 minus x. By rule of signs, we can just say this is negative 1 over x minus 4. I did that because I need to see that has a denominator of x minus 4 rather than 4 minus x. You might have done this before, like did something like this before for different questions. So here I will write this as 1 over x minus 4 minus 1 over x minus 4. That became negative. And here on this side you have to. So now let's find the LCD and the domain. Now all the factors you see in the denominators, x minus 4, and this 1. So that's x times x minus 4 is the least common denominator, which means each of these factors cannot be 0, so x is not 0 and x minus 4 is not 0, which means x is not 4. So these values are not in the domain of the equation. So now what you do? Multiply all the terms, each term by the LCD. So there are 3 terms, so there should be 3 LCDs, the LCD. So here x times x minus 4, x times x minus 4, and x times x minus 4. Now let's see how things cancel off. Well, of course, everything cancels off here. Here you get x minus 4 cancelled, and here it's a denominator cancels. Alright, now write down what's remaining. That would be 4 minus 1 times x is equal to, here you get 2x squared minus 8x, because you can distribute this 2x squared to both of these terms. Now let's move things around. I will try to move x to this side, and then 4 to this side, and then just write down whatever is here on the left hand side, because it's fun. Alright, so we get 2x squared minus 8x plus x is minus 7x, and then minus 4 is equal to 0. And you can see very well that it's a quadratic equation. And I wouldn't mind factoring this, so let's try to factor this. So what do? You would multiply 2 and 4, that would be negative 8. And you would try to find the factors of negative 8. I'm not doing factor quiz, just like just find factors. And negative 8 times 1, 1 times negative 1 times 8, negative 4 times 2, and 2 times negative 4. No, negative 2 times 4. So the correct factor that gives you negative 7 is that. So you would split the middle term to negative 8x plus x. Okay, and again you are very familiar with this type of simplifications by now. So that is what you get. Factor by grouping. 2x is common, x minus 4, 1 is common, x minus 4. And then x minus 4 is common, so x minus 4 times 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, now you can find the solutions for the quadratic equation. That would be x equals 4 and 2x plus 1 equals 0. That would be x equals negative 1 half. So these are the possible solutions. Just check whether these are in the domain, and you can see that x equals 4 is not in the domain. Just take this. So we have a question. So this is not a possible answer, which means the only possible answer is x equals negative 1 half. So this one has a solution which is x equals negative 1 half is the only solution. Okay, so with that you should be able to do any of those type of rational equations. Just to check your understanding, please do the question that appears on the screen. Okay, so the next one is well, we did some quadratic equation. We did one quadratic equation right just before this page. We will do some more quadratic equations. So let's first think about factoring. So this one right here. Remember, you need to have 0 on one side. Let's say you need 0 on the right hand side. So you don't have 0 on the right hand side, which means you will have to distribute and bring everything to the left hand side and have 0 on the right hand side. So this you can just find. So you get x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 12 equals negative 6, and then that would be minus x, and then minus 12 you can add this at this step, plus 6 to both sides, you can get minus 6 equals 0. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. So let's find the factors of negative 6, and that would be negative 2 times 3, negative 3 times 2, negative 6 times 1, and 1 times negative 1 times 6. And what adds to negative x is this. And because a is 1, you shortcut. So you get just right here the factors x minus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. So the answers you get is x minus 3 is 0, that would give you x equals 3, x plus 2 equals 0, that will give you x equals negative 2. So the answer set is x equals 3 and negative 2. Okay. And the next one is again factoring, and I would subtract 10x from both sides because I need to have 0 on one side, and I will just bring this to the left hand side. So you get 3x squared minus 10x plus 7 is equal to 0. And now you would multiply these two, that would be 21, and you would find factors of 21 that would add up to negative 7, negative 10. So let's factor it. Well, 1 times 21, 3 times 7, negative 1 times negative 21, negative 3 times negative 7. And negative 3 and negative 7 adds up to negative 10. But here a is not 1, so no shortcut. So you will split. So what you originally had is 3x squared minus 10x plus 7 equals 0. And now you would split 10x to negative 3x minus 7x. And then write down the other parts. Okay, so now you can see you can factor by grouping. 3x is a common factor, x minus 1. Negative 7 is a common factor, x minus 1. And then you can factor, just finish the factoring, x minus 1 times 3x minus 7 equals 0. And then use the zero factor property, which means x minus 1 equals 0, that gives you x equals 1. And 3x minus 7 equals 0, that gives you x equals 7/3. Okay, so that's how we solve quadratic equation by factoring. So I'm just planning to give you one quadratic equation in the video for you to solve, and you can solve it whatever the way you want. So I'll just do the next two parts and let's see. All right. So let's do this by completing the square. Now, in class I have mentioned I'm doing this one line completing the square. So let's first set up the question. Setup is you just bring everything to one side and then just divide everything by this. So bring everything to one side. 5x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Divide everything by 5. That will give you x squared minus 2/5 x minus 1/5 equals 0. Now again, the reason why I do the one line completion of the square is it's very easy, it's short. Okay, now it's short. So what would be half of 2/5? That's 1/5. Okay, you just have to keep it. So remember, the completion of square formula is you just have x squared plus or minus bx plus c equals 0. This is how we use the formula. X squared x plus or minus b over 2. So just divide whatever this constant by 2 minus b over 2 squared. So let's see how we do it here. Just one line. Open a parenthesis. Bring over x. Bring over whatever sign you have here. Okay, and then half of this, that would be 1/5 squared. And then always minus. And then we whatever this one, this guy squared. And then just bring this down. Equals 0. Okay, so that's how we do it. So just write one more simplification step just to make sure everything is nicely written. X minus 1/5 squared. Now you can just square this guy, that would be 1 over 25 minus 1/5 is equal to 0. Now completing the square step is done now. So you can actually add this up just to make sure you have the least common denominator, that would be 25. So now we have negative 1 over 25 minus 1 over 25 over 25, that would be negative 26 over 25. Now you can send it to the other side. So you get x minus 1/5 this square is equal to 26 over 25. Now this is the case where you take the square root plus or minus square root. So you get x minus 1/5 is equal to plus or minus square root of 26 over 25. Now this can be written as x is equal to 1/5 plus or minus square root of 26 over the square root of 25. Just one last simplification. 1/5 plus or minus square root of 26 over 5. And that's how you solve by completing the square. So the completing the square step is just this part. The rest is just simplification. Now, how do you write the solutions? I would prefer this. X equals 1/5. Well, this is the same denominator, so you can just add them up. So 1 plus or minus square root of 26 over 5. Or you can just write it as two solutions. 1 plus square root of 26 over 5 and x equals 1 minus square root of 26. I would be very happy if the final solution is kept in this form. Okay, so the last method of solving a quadratic equation is the quadratic formula. Okay, well, again, in order to use the quadratic formula, you need to have the equation in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form, and with that you have x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, that is the one formula you need to remember regarding quadratic equations. Okay, now, so let's here you have to expand everything and write it in this form. So let's distribute. So 6x minus 2x squared equals 3. What I would do is I would add 2x squared to both sides, subtract 6x from both sides, and bring this over to the left hand side. So I get 2x squared minus 6x plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so which means my equation is in the correct form, so that I can make sure what numbers are a, b, and c. So here you have a equals 2, b equals 6, and c equals 3. And you can also see there are no common factors for all three numbers. So this is as simple as it could be. So let's write x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it might take you a while to simplify this. Negative 6 plus or minus 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, so 36 minus 24, 4. That is negative 6 plus or minus square root of 12, 4, which is, well, this is 3 times 4, and you can pull out a 4 from the square root, so that would be I would write the two solutions as x equals negative 3 plus root 3 over 2 and x equals negative 3 minus root 3 over 2. Okay. Alright. So the next equation is this, and it's written in the correct form. So you can easily see a equals 1, b equals 2, and c equals 2. So you just plug into the formula. So x equals negative 2 plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, that would be 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2 all over 2 times 1. Now you see something peculiar here. You get negative 2 plus or minus square root of 4 minus 8, that is negative 4 over 2. Now this one right here is not real. Therefore, this has no solutions. So the solution set is empty. In lecture 15, you will learn about something called complex numbers, and in that case, you will actually see there are two complex solutions for this. But for now, there's no solutions. Alright, so let's solve a quadratic equation. Answer the question that appears on your screen. Okay. So, now the next question is looking at the discriminant. Well, there's a typo here. And then determining how the roots or the solutions behave. So first one is just clear this typo. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Okay. So that's your discriminant. Okay, so make sure the typo is not there. It was not in the lecture 5 part 1, but it is here. Alright, so let's look at the discriminant, and remember, discriminant is greater than 0, you get 2 real solutions. Discriminant is equal to 0, you get 1 real solution. And discriminant less than 0, you get no solutions. Okay, now let's find the discriminant, and you can, first thing you can observe, you need to observe these facts. You can divide everything by 2. Okay, and so you get x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 0. So let's take the discriminant. Your a is 1, your b is 4, your c is 4. So b squared minus 4ac is 4 squared minus 4 times 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 1 times 4. That is 4 squared minus 4 squared, which is 0. Which means we have this situation. So this equation has one solution. So x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 0 has only one real solution. Okay, so that's that. So let's move on to the next page where we solve some different type of equations. Okay, now you will see the same pages, but I just expanded my pages just to get some more space here. Okay, so remember how to solve radical equations. Move things over to one side until you get radical on the other side. So first, what I did is isolate the radical, and then if it's a square root, square both sides. And remember, the other side should be actually squared and not using the correct formula. 3. Solve the resulting equation. So let's see how we do this. And here I would isolate the radical by subtracting x from both sides. And also, very important step, check. And the process of checking is exactly as how I outlined in class. Okay, So you get square root of x minus 1 here is equal to 3 minus x. So square both sides. And you get x minus 1 is equal to 3. Let's do this by hand. 3 minus x. So you square both sides. And here square root and square roots annihilate each other, so you just get x minus 1. Here you need to file. So I mean, I wouldn't file, but you need to know that you shouldn't do 3 squared minus x squared. Okay, so let's file it. 9 minus 3x minus 3x plus x squared. So you get x squared minus 6x plus 9, and here you get x minus 1. So subtract x, add 1, subtract x, add 1, and bring this over to the left hand side. So you get x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. And let's find the factors of 1 times 10, that is 5 and 2, and negative 5 and negative 2. This adds to negative 7. So a equals 1. So you can use the shortcut. So you get x minus 5, x minus 2 is equal to 0. Using the zero factor property, x minus 5 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0, x equals 5, or x equals 2. Now the question is, are these the actual solutions? Well, we need to check. So let's go slowly. Perhaps this bit I might have gone a little fast in class. So let's see how do we check it. So this is how we check. So you need to just write down the original equation now. This is the original equation. Okay. So check with x minus 5. X equals 5. So let's write down left hand side. We plug in x equals 5. 5 plus square root of 5 minus 1, which is 5 plus square root of 4. 5 plus 2, which is 7. And plug into the right hand side, you get this 3. There's nothing to plug in. And 3 is not equal to 7. So this is not an answer. Okay. So now let's check x equals 2. So left hand side, we plug in 2 here. So you get 2 plus square root of 2 minus 1, which is 2 plus square root of 1, which is 2 plus 1, which is 3. On the right hand side, you have 3. So we are good here because that's the same left hand side and right hand side, so x equals 2 is the only solution. So that's how we check it. For each possible solution you get, you will have to check both right hand side and left hand side. Left hand side and the right hand side. So that's how checking works in radical equations. Okay, now let's move on to one more example. Well, this is an equation with a rational exponent. So I might have gone fast here. So again, let's do it in the short way and let's do it in the long way. Again, the short way is it's very short, and if you understand all the things involved, you should be able to do that without difficulty. But if you feel not good about all the rules involved, you can use the long way. Short is raise both sides to the reciprocal power. So raise both sides to power 5 over 2. Now we have 2/5 power, so 5 over 2 power. Okay, and because this, so this, and as we mentioned in class, this is the power and this is the root. And because you take the root here, and the root is an even root, you should take plus or minus on this side. Okay. Okay. And because you raise to an odd power, you don't need to check the final answer. Okay. So both of these things apply. So you look at the question and look at and understand what you're going to do, and then it should be fairly easier after that step. So what we have originally is this, and I will write 9 as 3 squared. Okay, and then I would raise both sides to 5 over 2 here and 5 over 2 here, and I would put plus or minus because this is even. Okay. So what I have here is just 2x minus 1 because this would cancel off. So you have 2x minus 1. And here I have plus or minus. This would cancel off like this. It would be 3 to the power 5. Which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that is plus or minus 243. Okay, so let's split this off. So 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1 is equal to 243. That should give you 2x equals 244. That is x equals 122. And no need to check. So good. Okay. And the other one is 2x minus 1 is equal to negative 243. So 2x equals negative 242. So x equals negative 121. Again, no need to check. So the answers are x equals 122 and negative 121. Okay. So that's it. You don't have to check. And the long way is, I don't know whether I had time to do this in class or not. But the long way is, you just have the equation 2x minus 1 to the power 2/5 is equal to 3 to the power 2. You raise both sides to the power 5. And you get 2x minus 1 to the power 2 here, and here you get 3 to the power 10. And now you take square root of both sides, and because you're taking square root, you take plus or minus, and then you get 2x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus 3 to the power 5, which is plus or minus 243, which brings you back to this stage. So now you don't have to, I don't have to write everything down, you can just okay, so that's how you solve it. So if you find it hard to remember all the rules involved, feel free to use the long way. Okay. And still you should be looking at the same page because okay, I have split these pages. Okay, right now, right here, what you do here is again isolate the radical, but you have two radicals, so let's pick one. I would pick to isolate this one, so I would add square root of x minus 1 to both sides. Now this is something we did not do in class, but again you should know how to do this because now you see how I do the example. So 3x plus 1 is equal to 2 plus root x minus 1. Now square both sides. Okay. Now when you square both sides, here you get 3x plus 1 and here you would 5. So you get 2 plus root x minus 1 times 2 plus same thing. Okay, so that would be 4 plus 2 root x minus 1 plus 2 root x minus 1 plus root x minus 1 squared, which is 4 plus 4 root x minus 1 plus x minus 1. Okay, now again I'm going to isolate the radical, and this time I'm going to subtract x plus 1 minus 4. Subtract x plus 1 minus 4. So I get 2x, 1 plus 1 is 2, minus 4 is minus 2, is equal to 4 square root of x minus 1. I would divide by 4 just to isolate the radical, and that would be x minus 1 over 2. Okay, again you square both sides. Okay, and then you just and you get x minus 1 squared over 4 is equal to square root of x minus 1 squared is just x minus 1. And I would times everything by 4 just to clear off the fractions. So I get x minus 1 squared is equal to 4 times x minus 1. 5 x squared minus 2x plus 1 is 4x minus 4. Subtract 4x plus 4. There is an easier way. You should figure out how to do this part easier. Minus 4x plus 4. So you get x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. So factor it, you should get x minus 5, x minus 1 equals 0. And that gives you x equals 5 and x equals 1. Now that's not the end, because we raised in two different occasions. We did square both sides, right here and right here. So whenever you square both sides of an equation, that might introduce extra extraneous solutions. So which means you have to plug it back into the original equation and check. So Still not finished. So let's do the checking thing in this box. So let's do x equals 5. Okay. So check it. The original equation, let me just write it down again here for you. So check it on the left hand side. You will get square root of 3 times 5 plus 1 minus square root of 5 minus 1. That would be square root of 16 minus square root of 4. That is 4 minus 2. That is 2. On the right hand side is just 2. So we are good here because we get the same left hand side and the right hand side. So x equals 5 is good. That's a good final answer. Now how about the other one, x equals 1? So plug it in, square root of 3 times 1 plus 1 minus, that's the left hand side, square root of 1 minus 1, that is square root of 4 minus square root of 0, that is 2, that's the left hand side. And the right hand side is just 2. Again, that's both wholes, so you get x equals 1 is good. So the solutions for the given rational radical equation is x equals 1 and x equals 1. Okay, so that's how you solve radical equations. So just solve the radical equation or answer the question that would appear on the screen. Okay, and you can see the video is going really long, so let's see. We still have a lot more to do. Now, absolute value equations, you should split and write it as 2 different equations. So one of them is x squared minus 6 equals x, and the other one is negative of the same thing, is equal to x. And this is x squared minus 6 is equal to negative x, when you divide both sides by negative 1. Or multiply, doesn't matter. And here you get x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. Here you get x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. Factor x minus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. X plus 3, x minus 2 equals 0. So we get 4 solutions. X equals 3, x equals negative 2, x equals negative 3, and x equals 2. But because the equation is absolute value, you need to check all 4 of them in the original equation. So you have x squared minus 6 absolute value is equal to x. Now you can easily see, now this is, let's use logic. I mean, you can actually do everything by hand and see, but let's use some logic. If you have x equals negative 3, now x equals negative 2, this side would be negative and this side would be an absolute value, hence positive. So the left hand side and the right hand side can never agree on these 2 situations. So these are wrong. So you don't have to check those 2. So let's check this and this. Okay. So now let's do that case with x equals 3. So you get absolute value of 3 squared minus 6, which is absolute value of 9 minus 6, which is absolute value of 3 plus 3. right hand side. Just get x equals 3 is 3. So they agree, so x equals 3 is good. Okay. And then there's x equals 2, left hand side, you get square root of 2 squared minus 6, which is square root of 4 minus absolute value of 4 minus 6, which is absolute value of negative 2, which is 2. X equals 2 on the right hand side is just 2. So again they agree. So x equals 2 is good. So the solutions are x equals 2 or x equals 3. Okay. So now just do the question, or you can see on the screen. Okay. So let's do the new tab. This is called equations of quadratic form, or equations quadratic in form. Alright, so how does that work? Well, you can look at the equation. You can see one variable term and another variable term and a constant term. Okay, now the quadratic equation also has that property: a variable term, another variable term, and a constant term. And then this variable part and this variable part, they are related because x to the power 6 is equal to x to the power 3 squared. So it's like 16 times something squared plus 8 times something plus 1 equals 0. And that is a quadratic equation. So what you need to do is pick your correct substitution and substitute to make it a quadratic equation. That is the idea. Okay. So here what you do is you look at the variable with the lesser exponent and make it u. So let x cubed is equal to u. Okay. That is the substitution step. Okay. Now, so let's see. Let's go and do substitution. And before doing the substitution, then you have substituted for this. What goes into here? So what you do is square both sides. Always square both sides. So here you get x cubed squared is u squared, and here you get x to the 6 is equal to u squared. This is the substitution step. This is not. Okay, but you can see this goes in here. So now make the substitution. So you will end up with 16u squared, because x to the 6 is u squared, plus 8u plus 1 is equal to 0. Now that's a quadratic equation. It's not a quadratic equation in terms of x, it's a quadratic equation in terms of u. Okay, now let's factor this. Again, it's up to you. You should know how to factor equations. So what you do is, I would leave you the middle steps. It would be 4u plus 1 all this squared is equal to 0. Okay, and then you get 4u plus 1 equals 0. So u equals negative 1/4. Now the question is, are we done? Well, what do you need to do here? When I ask you solve for x, you need to find x equals 1. But here we found some u equals negative 1/4. Doesn't really help. So what you need to do is look at the original substitution step, okay, and then plug in u equals negative 1/4 there and find what x is. So the substitution step is x cubed equals u, and this is negative 1/4. So you get x cubed equals negative 1/4. Take cube root of both sides, so x equals the cube root of negative 1/4 or negative cube root of 1/4. And that's the answer. Okay, so let's do the question that you can see on the screen. Okay, so I believe you would need more examples, so that's why I did ask an actual question. Let's see, right here. Again, you can see some term and minus 5 times x to the 1/3, variable, variable, and a constant. Okay, and then you can see, just look at this guy, x to the 1/3, and square it, you get x to the 2/3, which is here. So it's like something squared, minus 5 times something else, plus 4, something. Okay, now, so which means if we make this a substitution, u is equal to x to the power 1/3. That would give you a nice quadratic equation. Let's say u equals x to the 1/3, and that's the substitution step. And let's square both sides and see u squared is x to the 1/3 squared, which is x to the 2/3. So x to the 2/3. So u squared go in here, u goes in here. So what you end up is u squared minus 5u plus 4 equals 0. Again, you factor it and you should get u minus 4 times u minus 1 equals 0. So u equals 4 and u equals 1. That's solutions. Okay. But we are not done. Because you have to actually find what is x. So let's see what happens here. So look at the original substitution step. This is the original substitution step. Let us write down that here. U equals x to the 1/3. Now we found that u equals 4. So you get 4 is equal to x to the power 1/3. So raise both sides to the third power. And you get 4 to the power thirds, that's 64 is equal to x. And because we need to raise to the third power, we don't need to check. Okay. And then u equals 1. U equals x to the 1/3, that's the original substitution. So 1 equals x to the 1/3. Take the third power of both sides. You get x equals 1. And again, no need to check. So the final solutions are x equals 1 and x equals 64. Okay, so now you've seen enough examples. Let's try to do the question on the screen. Okay, so again, more examples. Okay, so now I will actually give you an actual question after this. So let's do this. Okay. Again, you can see that is x minus 2 to the power 2/5 plus x minus 2 to the power 1/5 minus 12 equals 0. Again, that looks like a quadratic equation because it's something squared plus something minus 12. And you need to figure out what that something is. And in here, it would be this guy, which is x minus 2 to the power 1/5. That is your substitution. That's the substitution step. Okay, so now let's square both sides. So you get x minus 2 to the power 1/5 squared is equal to u squared. So x minus 2 to the power 2/5 is equal to u squared. So u goes in here and u squared goes in here. So what you end up with is u squared plus u minus 12 is equal to 0. Okay, now you can factor this. Of course, you get u minus 3, u plus 4 equals 0. So you get u equals 3 and 4 equals negative. Now go to the original substitution step. The substitution step is x minus 2 to the power 1/5 is equal to u, and then u equals 3. In this case, you get x minus 2 to the power 1/5 is equal to 3. Raise both sides to the 5th power. So you get x minus 2 is equal to 3 to the 5. X minus 2 is equal to 243. So x is 245. Again, you raised it to odd power, so therefore no need to check. Sorry about that. Okay, on the other side, you get x minus 2 to the power 1/5 is equal to negative 4. Raise both sides to the power 5. And negative 4 to the 5th power is negative 1024. And then that's x minus 2. Well, you might not have those large numbers in the exams because I make sure that the numbers are actually nice. Okay. Add 2, so you get x equals negative 1022. So, and again, there's no need to check, so these are the two answers. Alright, now let's do an actual question on equations of quadratic form, and that's the end of the lecture part 2 again. Sorry for this huge video, but I hope you understood every type of equations that we need to solve. Alright, thank you very much.